Holy smokes. Oh. Look at all these guys.
I'm in way over my head.
Right in the heart. It's a Mayan site. That's amazing.
I'm looking for bats under a 3,000-year-old city.
Your lab is like, I mean, look at this. Like, this is amazing, right?
It is pretty surreal. Like, we're literally trapping in between Mayan temples. Bats around the world are known to use a lot of archaeological sites.
I'd never really thought much about bats until I heard about the weirdest, wildest science event ever in a remote part of Belize called Lamanai.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
I've heard that amazing research happens here, that bat science might lead to breakthroughs in everything from diabetes to anti-aging. And it's the chance of a lifetime to get up close and personal with one of the planet's most misunderstood animals.
Lamanai!
They call it Bat-a-thon, and it's unlike any other research project in the world.
2 weeks a year, we turn a ecotourist lodge into a giant laboratory for studying bats in the field. We have somewhere between 70 and 80 bat scientists join us, coming from 20 different countries.
So tonight, once we get about 15 bats or so throughout the nets, we'll start sending them over to the lab. Here we go.
Bats make up an incredible 1/5 of all mammals.
Just like a spaghetti. There we go.
There are some 1,500 species worldwide. So if they're so common, why don't I know anything about them?
Because bats will come at night. They're kind of mysterious. People don't really like them. But as you will see in a little bit, they're absolutely adorable.
Okay. There's a bat. Oh. Oh, cool, 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 cool.
That's a golden bat. They eat lizards.
And she's a particularly cute Cernaira. She's quite pregnant. You can see the bumps on her tummy.
Yeah, so this is a vampire bat.
Oh. So this is the southern yellow bat.
The cool thing about them is that these species can be remarkably different from each other.
So this is the Jamaican fruit-eating bat.
Look at those teeth.
You're gonna catch a bat, it's almost like going on a treasure hunt. It's one of the things that really drove me to really study bats.
You got them?
Got 'em.
All right, get back out.
Let's scan these guys that just came in. Scoot in. Okay, great. All right.
This is, I gotta say, the weirdest delivery service I have ever seen.
And each one of these bags has a bat in it.
You hold the bags and hands them
You trust me to do this?
Just, well, no, only one hand.
Okay.
And you're just gonna hand me one bag at a time.
Oh, this is weird. Who else has held like 20 bats at once? You can never see this anywhere besides Bat-a-thon. So how long have you guys been working with bats?
My rubber field boots, which are down here in the corner, are older than many of the students who are out in the forest catching bats.
Nancy Simmons, an evolutionary biologist, is Bat-a-thon's boss.
BZ number is 975.01.
975.01.
Yep, correct.
And Elizabeth Clare is a DNA detective. They log and ID every bat before handing them over to other scientists.
CB24 plus. So we're checking these for passive transponders. They're little tags that would tell us if we've ever seen this bat before.
These are the same tags that people use on their pets. It's the same technology.
And if it, just like that, if it buzzes in my hand, it tells me this bat has a tiny tag under its skin.
Any bats that don't buzz are sent to the porch for microchipping.
Let's go through all those bags
Okay,
and
mask.
ID them. Mask up. When we are handling bats, we want to wear masks
Okay.
to protect them from any illnesses that we might have,
Right.
and to protect us from any illnesses they might have.
These people cannot wait to claim their bats.
Next bat.
It's a little frigivore, and they're the cutest.
so adorable.
Aw, this little fruit bat is one of 45 species the researchers have found here.
Oh, that's a big one.
Everyone works as fast as they can to collect samples for their research. Blood, hair, saliva, so the bats can go back to the forest within 4 hours of capture.
Look at that. Go, go, go.
He loves a bit of sugar water.
You're helping us help you.
What makes it special, I think, is the camaraderie and collaboration that happens here working with live bats. There's nothing as great as being in the field, for me at least.
Back to the back. Wow, wow, wow.
Working with the live animals, seeing them, holding them, thinking about the research questions we have. How old is this bat? What does this bat eat? Who's it related to? How does it eat nothing but sugar and survive?
I'm curious about how some bats are able to thrive on extreme sugar diets, and how can we learn from them?
We got you.
How do you stay healthy by living life to the extreme? They just consume their body weight in this sugar-rich floral nectar, and they are completely healthy.
Sorry.
Oh, but look at her go. And for any other mammal, including ourselves, it would make them sick. So I like to think of it as trying to eat like your body weight in like candy. So I'm trying to understand this resilience that they have, their ability to thrive on this extreme sugar load, so that we can start to think about innovative approaches to our medicines that we use. So how can we better treat diabetes or obesity?
Game-changing drugs like Ozempic were developed by studying lizards. So maybe bats will lead to the next big breakthrough.
Just do a little quick check. Make sure it's not too tight. And let's see how we do.
Is that lady flying a bat?
One more minute, my tiny friend. And then you get to go home and tell all of your little bat friends about what a strange night you had.
Hey, are you flying a bat right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why? How? Why?
Well, how's probably the easiest. It is a pole and a string. Why is because I am interested in looking at sugar metabolism during flight. So this bat just had a nice little snack, and now it's using that snack to fly around me in circles.
I keep getting distracted by you're flying a bat. What are you measuring about them?
So I am trying to see how much of this recently ingested sugar meal they are using to fuel all of this exercise they're doing in the form of flight.
What do you hope to do with that information?
So this is gonna actually let us expand the limits of what mammals are capable of during exercise.
Really?
So there's not really that much difference between a bat and a human. It's really the first step into learning more about them to help us learn more about us.
That is awesome. Okay.
Bringing him down.
We're ready? He's done?
For the first 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Nope. Then you go back in the container for 30 seconds. Lock that up.
The bat exhales carbon dioxide, and Jerica tests it to measure how much sugar is on its breath.
This doesn't hurt them at all, right? It's just kind of like a hard workout?
Yeah, it's like a hard workout. They get a sugar meal before, they get a sugar meal after.
Right, okay, so we treat them.
Yeah, we treat them well before and after. They're not probably the happiest because, I mean, I don't like going to the gym. But this amount of flight is well within their normal limits. We've caught these guys going like 60 miles an hour down the trails.
Wow, okay, and then how do you collect the CO2?
So I put a syringe in here.
Yeah.
Then this valve has been stopping all this up. Open the valve, take the sample, put on the needle, and inject into the tube.
That is surprisingly simple.
Back up.
Oh, yep. Oh, you're flying them again. So I'm also curious about you. Do you get dizzy or sick
Oh,
doing this?
absolutely. I get very dizzy and nauseous with this experiment. Because, like, I can do 5, 7 bats in a night.
Could you apply what you learned to, you know, human illnesses, things like diabetes?
Yeah, that's the overall goal. I think it's going to take a couple of decades before it goes from me flying a bat on a string to curing diabetes, but I'm happy to be the first step.
That is so fun. This is just the weirdest night ever. I love this research. Okie doke. Okay, so I'm hoping you can show me a couple of different bat species and I can learn how to identify them myself.
This is one of the ones that's really hard to miss, okay? So it's called Trachops. The common name for this is the fringed-lipped bat, because he's got all these little bumps on his chin. But more common than that, people tend to refer to it as a frog-eating bat, because this is notorious, these gigantic ears, he can hear frogs. So that one's pretty easy. But the way this gets complicated is, let's look at this one. So I can tell right away, by looking at it, this beautiful bat with stripes on its face, that this is a Dermanura. But the problem is that to tell what species it is, I have to look inside its mouth behind its back molar. And we're talking about a tooth that's smaller than a grain of sand.
So how many people have this weird skill that you have? You can look into the tiny molar in the back of its tiny mouth and identify it.
Actually, in this group, a lot of people can do this now. A few years ago, no one could.
The number of bats that get ID'd, studied, and released during Bat-a-thon is more than 1,000.
I feel like almost any biological question or evolutionary question you want to ask about mammals, bats are a great model.
Like, how have some bats evolved to live more than 40 years and stay healthy their whole lives?
They not only live for a really long time, they also live really well for that time.
Karen Sears recently made an astonishing discovery about aging in female bats.
Female bats, in a lot of groups, actually maintain their fertility until really, really old ages, which for them is a really, really old age.
Studying tissue samples collected at Bat-a-thon revealed that bats' ovaries function perfectly into old age, unlike those of humans or other mammals.
So as I like to think about it, bats that are essentially the equivalent to an 85-year-old human are still having babies. It's the normal thing for them to do. They're all doing it, all the while looking like they're 25 years old. So bats have figured out a way to live forever, stay young, and live that dream. These findings were really a holy shit moment for us.
Jasmine is hoping her sugar research leads to a similar kind of moment.
I do this really simple test, the glucose tolerance test. Essentially, you get a dose of sugar, and then at different time points later, you see what happens to that sugar in your blood.
She extracts a tiny drop of blood from the bat's wing before and after feeding, and measures its blood glucose levels.
How your blood sugar is changing over time is a readout for how well your body can handle that sugar.
Jasmine found that nectar and fruit-eating bats are genetically adapted to stay healthy even with 4 times the blood glucose level of someone with diabetes.
Baby.
And the bat can go back to the jungle after a nice little treat.
So I like to think that the bats are really happy with the experiments that we get to do together, because they'll get some sugar, which they love. Thank you.
Jerica's bat has finished his workout.
This is his reward. It also makes sure he has lots of energy to get home. So this is honey water. So it's going to be very yummy for our little friend. Gets him hydrated, gives him lots of energy. There we go. Is that good? Okay. Go. You can go now. There we go. Goodbye.
look at this.
Welcome. This is the High Temple.
The High Temple.
You're looking at basically the third highest temple built by the Mayas in Belize.
Lamanai was a major city in the Maya world, continuously occupied for 3,000 years until the Europeans arrived. I see little cracks in the facade of the building, too. I imagine those are little nooks and crannies that bats might be able to squeeze into?
Yeah, for example, I've seen birds nesting in there, and in some, bats will go in there as well.
Do we know if bats were important to the Mayans who built these structures?
The Mayas were definitely looking at them as something unique, something that are of importance, you know. Pollinating, even back then, they knew if bats are around, they can harvest things.
Bat scientists know the Maya had it exactly right.
So there's many plants that have evolved to be pollinated by bats. If you remove the bats from that ecosystem, the plants couldn't reproduce anymore. Bats eat tons of insects every night. If you remove bats from an ecosystem, the insect populations would explode because bats perform basically pest control. That's critical for the forest as a whole and for agriculture.
You've probably heard that bats use echolocation, bouncing sound waves to hunt their prey. Bat-a-thon scientists discovered that some moths emit sounds that can actually jam bat signals. Not to be outdone, bats have developed a stealth ability to sneak up and silently catch them anyways.
If we took bats out of an ecosystem, it would have cascading effects across the whole ecosystem.
Tonight, I'm heading farther afield with Glazelle and Nina, PhD students from York University. Glazelle grew up in Belize. She is the country's first bat scientist. It's great to have Ranger Melvin with us, since we're heading into the remote jungle. We're deep in the Maya forest, one of Latin America's great wild places. Glazelle studies what bats eat, how flexible their diets are, and how well they adapt, especially as their jungle habitat disappears.
There's spider monkeys up there, and they don't seem happy that we're here. This will definitely be our backup net, because we don't really want to stress them out too much. So these are squeakers. They will protest the entire time. The leaf-nosed bats, you can see the nose is shaped like a leaf. It's always pleasant to catch them because they're very cute. Oh, we got a bat. Oh yeah, we do. This is one of my target species. The common name is little yellow-shouldered bat because the males will have these yellow shoulder patches here. Now we just wait for them to poop.
You use the bat poop to figure out what their diets are?
Mm-hmm.
There's poop, thanks to the little yellow shoulder bat.
So we extract the DNA from the feces, from the poop, and that DNA contains every single thing that they've eaten. And so we can compare that with a reference library that has the DNA of all these different plants, like in a library.
What?
So we compare what we got from the poop to what is in the reference library, and it will tell us exactly what they've eaten.
All that from their poop. You're sifting through poop for DNA.
Exactly.
Checking the Rolodex.
Yeah.
Can I come in?
Yes, you have to lift our door.
Great. Thank you. Oh,
this little Dermanura, which is about
look at him!
Look at
him! Oh, you got a mosquito there.
Thanks.
So he's
a little one.
I always thought that bats would eat things like that, mosquitoes, but this guy eats
This one is a fruit
only fruit?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, if they only eat fruit or if they can diversify their diet either by choice or because of necessity. We need to really understand how at risk they are if we remove the resources they eat. So we don't want to recatch this bat because it's quite a stressful process for the bat. So we put some really bright nail polish on its back toes so that if we catch this bat again in the net, we can release it right away.
Oh, that's really clever.
Do you want to do the honors of
I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So just lightly paint the toenails.
Do my head songs, shake my nails. Oh, I'm opening my own salon.
Suddenly we get a critter alert from Nina, just outside the tent.
I saw a snake go off into this area. Belize has some pretty poisonous snakes, so.
I would say we should move our station away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it will be very hard to keep track of the snake once it's in all of that brush. So the best thing for us to do right now would be to move our entire processing station, maybe process out the back of the truck now.
Nothing gets in the way of bat research.
Oh, this one's huge.
This is the Jamaican fruit-eating bat.
His teeth look a lot bigger, and he seems to be showing them to you.
They have a very strong bite. This is the one we really want to wear the leather gloves for.
I am not forgetting this night anytime soon.
We've faced tonight spiders, snakes, a lot of kind of nerve-wracking stuff. Is it all worth it to you?
I'm from Belize, so this is my home country. I grew up near all of this nature, and it's a part of me.
I asked Glazelle why this research matters to her. So at daybreak, she took me to the edge of the forest to explain.
Every year we come back, there's more and more land cleared. Like this patch of land was forest just last year.
This was all forest?
It was all forest at one point, just recently.
The jungle is disappearing, replaced by large-scale agriculture.
What does clearing all of this jungle do to the bats?
So it's destroying a lot of roosting habitat and feeding habitat for sure. We're trying to see how adaptable and resilient they are because every organism has its limits.
That's why back at Bat-a-thon, there's work to do.
So once the poles are a little bit out, then you guys can kind of like support them a little bit.
And I'm all in. I'm helping pitch a flight tent.
Andrea, do we want to try to attach ropes to the top point?
Andrea Rummel and her mentor, Sharon Swartz, are gonna photograph bats in flight after dark with super high-speed cameras.
You guys study biomechanics, right? Like
We do.
the way that bats move as they're flying through the air.
Exactly.
Okay, so where are the cameras going?
We'll mount the cameras around the space on tripods, and then
Okay.
we'll point them into the space so that we're capturing some volume. We want to get a kind of a 3D view of what the bats are doing so that we can reconstruct their movements later after we take the video.
That's the way we can get insight into exactly how wing shape relates to what a bat can do.
How form fits function, we find out right here.
Exactly.
Very cool.
I cannot wait to see the flight tent in action. But first, I want to meet Brock Fenton, bat expert extraordinaire.
Oh, good
Hey,
to see you.
Brock.
Glad you made it.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing well, thanks, yeah. Oh man, I am excited to get to talk to you.
This guy is the OG Bat-a-thon guy, like he started the thing.
This is your book of bats. And you are like a legend in this field because you are the person who started Bat-a-thon.
Yeah. I don't fling myself into holes in the ground the way I used to, but I still have a hell of a good time working with bats.
Brock has devoted his retirement to photographing bats here in Belize and around the world.
Oh, that's a perfect shot.
The vampire bat. It was probably just shot here.
Look at that big smile. Teeth at the front there.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, so
these are the front teeth here. that he makes the bite with.
Right. When you think about the legacy of Bat-a-thon,
Yeah.
the impact that it's had, how many different scientists have come through, how do you feel about it all?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm responsible for what they've done, but I may have given them a chance to do something that they wouldn't have otherwise done.
Lamanai is surrounded by farms owned by Mennonite families. One family is nice enough to let Caleb and Hugh from the University of Waterloo onto their farm to monitor bats in a cave.
Not really out here, but...
The moment of truth.
Yep. Hold it for you. Oh, yeah, awesome.
Yes.
High five.
Yes. Yes.
We got it. We have something in the range of 80 to 100 bats that are marked here with RFID tags or pit tags. And we've got an antenna set up at the entrance of the cave just here beside us.
Caleb already activated the antenna during his last trip to Belize a few months ago.
And when you're in Canada, you have no way to check on things. And so we just showed up and we're seeing that it's worked. And so that's awesome. The work is paying off.
Means there's data.
All right, let's take a look. Look at that, right up
That's
to
awesome. Right up to today.
Right up to today. Let's see what's here. For 17th of April, still see there's a bunch of different bats.
The data reveal several species live in this cave, including vampire bats.
Vampire bats are so amazing. Like they're the bats that run on the ground, they drink blood and they get all filled up, and yeah, they make long-term friendships, and they're so spectacular. I love them.
A lot of people think vampire bats are kind of creepy because they feed on the blood of mammals, including livestock. In Latin America, farmers treat them as pests. But Jacob and his family have come around after spending time with Caleb at the bat cave.
Every time I'm here, they check in to see which bats are still here and how the bats are doing, and I think in general, they're just like happy to have them around.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's okay? Yes.
There we
okay,
go.
Perfect.
I think maybe putting the harp trap like right here or here, so that way when they eventually escape, they escape into a trap. We're gonna try to really stitch the cave together so the bats have no opportunity besides to fly into our nets if they want to leave the cave tonight. So we're gonna make sure we put stuff on the ground here and put stuff on the sides. Try to stitch everything right together so the bats just can't really have anywhere else to go. Otherwise, the vampire bats will crawl on the ground and run out through the holes and jump and fly away. So they're really smart, so we gotta outsmart them tonight.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Really well. Good?
Just got a vampire bat right to the face.
You got hit in the face with that?
Yeah, so this is a vampire bat.
Wow, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, see how he's checking it out? He's not that scared. He's looking to see who you are.
So calm. And cute.
Amazing, hey?
Yeah, they're pretty cute.
See how flat the nose is? Because they're not biting, right? They're actually putting their face right down and slicing. And that's how they make the incision.
Right.
If you kind of look at her teeth, see how they're all,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
actually turned a little bit to the side?
Yeah.
So it's actually more for slicing than for biting.
So these are like little razors.
They're super, super, super sharp, like scalpels.
You said there's multiple species in there?
We have records of 7 species in this cave.
Why are you guys on that side of the of the screen?
So as soon as they hit the net, we try to almost like catch them with the net and then just grab them out really quickly.
Right, okay. So,
just like that.
Another Sakupsuri at that time, really?
Oh my God.
Isn't it awesome?
So what kind of a bat is this?
That's a bat. That's a golden bat. They eat lizards. The big nose leaf and the huge ears, they're just perfect hunters.
Just up the trail, Hugh gathers details about each bat they catch. Hey guys, can I sit in if I mask up?
For sure.
Okay.
0424. We're just processing a bat that we caught a few minutes ago. It's a vampire bat.
Oh, cool.
And so we got like a year's worth of data on them now. And so it's going to be really cool to be able to understand and shed light on the individuality of the animal. And hopefully, in the end, some of this information can help us conserve them. Adult, female, non-reproductive species, tag.
All right, bye, buddy. Thanks for hanging out with us. So which bats are hardest to catch, would you say?
Vampire bats are the hardest to catch. They're just so smart, and they just figure it out really quickly. And they can run.
They can run?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're the only bats that can.
So there's somebody here I can talk to about this.
Yes.
I can see footage of bats running.
Yes, on a treadmill.
I'm so excited.
I wanted to see some of them vampire moves. Hey there, Dr. Welch. So I tracked down Ken Welch at the University of Toronto. I was in the field last night and I met these people that said that there are videos of bats running, and I had to go to the source and find out like what this is all about. Ken was at Bat-a-thon last year, running vampires on a treadmill. What's your day job like?
Well, I'm generally interested in how animals move, and in particular, what they use to fuel that movement and exercise. This video is one of my favorites. It is just something we noticed the bats doing randomly when we were trying to work with them. They do this really cool sideways walk.
This is amazing.
We think what they're doing with that sideways motion is maybe circling around their prey animal. So these guys land on the ground and they sneak up. So maybe that, moving around side to side is, sizing up their target. Being like, what's the safest way to come up and nip the foot and lap up some blood, but not get stomped to death by a huge cow?
Wow, so these guys are little ninjas. That's amazing. Bat-a-thon scientists have even recorded bats swimming. Did you know they could do that? From how they move to how they age, it's like bats have superpowers.
What we are finding in the research is that not only do bats have a really long lifespan, they also have a really long health span. That means that most bats, as they age, they don't get cancer, they don't get inflammatory diseases like arthritis, they don't get heart disease, they don't show that same physiological deterioration that we see in humans. One of the key things we have to do to study aging bats is actually look in their tissues to see how aging is or is not happening.
Karen collects tissue samples in Belize and analyzes them in her lab at UCLA.
We would love to know what allows bats to live that long so that we could use it as a cheat sheet for humans and figure out how we might be able to make ourselves live longer. One avenue that my lab has been investigating with this whole bats living forever thing is DNA and the integrity of the DNA. And what we're finding is that unlike mice, humans, other animals we've looked at, the DNA of the bats stays pretty intact even as they get older. So it doesn't get a lot of damage to it.
This makes me want to see bats in their home environment. So I'm tagging along with Elizabeth to another archaeological site.
You're actually walking over a building. So this is a Mayan building underneath this dirt and trees. So where I'm taking you now is actually into a tunnel that has been cut into this Mayan ruin. And the bats have begun using it again. So they're using it like a cave. We're gonna go in one at a time, and if we're lucky, the bats are gonna be at the back of the cave. Put on your hard hat and
suit up.
Mask up, because
Mask
we
up.
wanna protect the bats from anything we might bring in there.
Oh, wow. This is snug. Okay. Oh. Try not to hit the roof.
Oh, they're here again.
Oh. Oh. my God. There's so many of them. It's like these guys have made a whole community.
This is a colony of Gnathalus bats. They're funnel-eared bats. And they're well-known insectivores. They've got really, really long, thin legs. And they're thought to make them really, really good at catching things like spiders.
Elizabeth is a highly respected DNA detective. She tracks bats and other creatures when humans aren't around using tools you wouldn't expect.
So this is a very small fan, which acts like a vacuum and filters air. And then I have pre-cleaned filters, and that's actually going to capture any material in the air.
The bat detector is ready for action.
And so as they move back and forth through the air, they're going to shed little tiny bits of themselves. Dead skin cells, hair follicles. We call this environmental DNA. And when they leave that behind in the air, what we're going to do is basically filter it through this device.
So you've left a sampler running inside of there. What happens next?
Well, we leave it running for about 8 hours, and then we're going to go in and we're going to collect that little filter paper off the top. And then we're going to amplify and sequence a little tiny, tiny fragment of DNA, which can tell us the different species of bat. And so we're gonna do that over and over again and build up a picture of how this particular tunnel was used and which species came and went while we were sampling them.
So it's kind of like a security camera that figures out like who's been in and out.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so we get to know what they're doing when we're not there to disturb them.
This groundbreaking work with environmental DNA can be applied on a much larger scale to monitor biodiversity all over the world.
This is absolutely brilliant.
There's action in the flight tent.
Is there a bat in there already?
There's a bat in there already. Sharon is holding the bat, and what we're gonna do is release the bat.
Right in front of those cameras?
Right in front of the cameras.
Okay.
The cameras are high-speed cameras. You really wanna be able to slow down the movements of the bats, which are normally faster than the eye can see. We need our team members inside the tent to tell us when they're releasing the bat and to tell us when the bat has flown, and then we'll trigger from out here. So are you guys ready inside?
We're ready.
Okay. They're gonna yell trigger, so wait to trigger until they tell us to.
1, 2, 3. Trigger. Nice, got it.
There it is. That looks really good.
Before you released the bat, I saw that you guys were doing something with the bat, right? What were you doing in there?
We were putting white dots on the bat. It's really hard to know when you're looking at the videos sometimes whether you're looking at like an elbow or a foot or a knee. And so we put white dots on the parts of the body that we care about. We really want to characterize how that wing shape is changing during flight.
Right.
So it sounds like the team inside is ready to fly another bat. Do you want to go in and help them out?
Yes, can I? Okay.
Welcome, Anthony. Can you close that zipper?
Sure.
We don't want the bat to leave this flight tent. This is Mr. Artivius literatus, the greater fruit-eating bat, and this is one of the larger bats that we have here. We're going to pull the wing out so you can see the fingers. So
it's a dot, 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 dot. One on the elbow there. Or is that the shoulder or the...
No, that's the elbow. You're exactly
elbow,
right.
Okay.
This is a great mammal hand. You know, this animal has almost every joint in its wing that you have in your hand. That's what makes them such incredible flyers. So, Trigger team, are you guys ready to go for another flight?
I'm ready out here.
Okay, so this is a pretty chompy bat. It's got really big teeth and powerful jaws. 3, 2, 1.
Trigger? Oh.
Well done.
Did I say it right? I just said something. Did we get anything?
Let's
This
see.
is my
We're gonna
first time as a
review.
bat scientist.
That's beautiful.
It was? Yay!
Sharon has studied bat wings for 35 years, revealing how their flight evolved separately from birds. Bird wings are stiff and feathered. Bat wings are flexible membranes stretched over long jointed arm and hand bones with tiny muscles throughout. This lets bats constantly reshape their wings for aerobatic maneuvers. it might also explain why they hang upside down to rest. I mean, what would you do if your arms, legs, and butt were all connected by a giant oversized wing?
Well, so it turns out that being tall is a real advantage when you're trying to catch
Oh, so I'm
bats.
catching him too, okay. I don't want to hurt him.
Yeah, I think if you just try to get him in the middle of the net, try not to bonk him on the head.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Got him.
So we'll bring him back to exactly the area where he was netted so that he'll be really close to his home roost. He'll be someplace that he knows really well.
Great job. If there was a message that you guys could send out to the world about why they maybe could love bats as much as you guys do, what would it be?
People like whales and dolphins, and those are weird, slippery things that live in the sea. And all of the things we like about whales and dolphins is that they have families, they live for a long time, they're really intelligent. Those are all things that we know about bats, and as we learn more about bats, we find that they're more and more like whales and dolphins.
And us.
And us. And us.
Definitely.
They're more like us than I think most animals are.
My week at Bat-a-thon has, flown by. Time for one last glimpse of my new furry friends. And to say goodbye to an awesome group of scientists.
Everybody say Lamanai! You didn't have to say that, that's okay.
It's been great having you here.
Well, thank you.
It's been fun teaching you about the bats.
I've really enjoyed learning about this. I feel like I've got a couple names down. There's Artibius intermedius.
Yes.
There's Glossophagus.
Glossophaga.
It's a nectar bat. There's Desdemona is a character from Shakespeare.
Desmodus. That's the vampire bat. Right.
Okay, so I guess...
That's pretty good when you just learned these names recently. Yeah.
Okay, so
what was the most interesting thing you learned here?
Ah, man. Oh, that's tough. You know, 1,500 species is massive. I thought there were like 7, so that's a big surprise for me. And you know, they're so unique, but there's such a range. You know, some are really cute and adorable and tiny, like the fruit bats, and some are more unique facially.
I think that's what gets me coming back all the time, because they're all bats, but they're also so different.
I would say that the biggest thing I learned was that a lot of people are kind of afraid of them. They're kind of nervous about them. But once you get up close to them, like, and you see their little hearts beating, and you see that they're
the fur and the eyes when they watch you. Yeah.
Like, it's so much easier to empathize and connect with them than I thought. I didn't expect how getting that close to them would affect me. It was really lovely.
Yeah.
Say Batty!
Batty!
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart. You guys have been awesome bat ambassadors. It's been a blast.